Hi, this is Anna Runkle, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy. And like I do in every video, I want to talk about a specific aspect of childhood PTSD. And today, it's about dating. And the way that we do dating sometimes that turns out not so great. But if you're already in a relationship, keep watching because this dating advice I'm going to give you can be applied to a lot of other aspects of life, like work and creativity and fulfilling goals. So today I want to talk about the concept of a cab light. Do you know that term? You know how a taxi cab has a light on top, and when the cab light's off, it means there's already a passenger in that cab. But when the light is on, hey, it's free. Well, this is a metaphor that refers to the vibe of someone who's interested in meeting someone new. Sometimes, even when we want to meet someone, our cab light is off, and prospective partners can't really see us, and they can't be interested in us. And then sometimes, who knows why, our light is on, and suddenly we're meeting people and getting asked out, and a relationship just might happen. Now, as you may know, I recently put out an online course about dating and relationships for people with childhood PTSD. And in case you're new to my channel, that's the term I use for the lasting effects of having grown up with exposure to trauma like abuse, neglect, violence, parental problems like addiction and mental illness. These hardships, even when they're over, can leave telltale signs in adulthood, and one of them is that we can make some really odd choices around relationships. Some of us avoid relationships, some of us screw up relationships, and some of us end up in very attached to people who are not able to love us or be there for us. So my course teaches strategies that I used in my life to stop those destructive patterns and take a more structured approach to dating that would help me face, and in some cases, compensate for these tendencies. And so one thing that's really important to take care of when you're dating is your cab light. You can think of your cab light as the set of signs that a good partner would be sensitive to when they're meeting you. Because an unavailable person probably doesn't care if your cab light is on or off. But a healthy person is tuned in when they meet someone to the little signals that someone is themselves healthy and more or less healed enough to be capable of a healthy, happy, caring, committed relationship. And so my course is about those signs and healing some of those tendencies inside that maybe got installed during your childhood that would dim your light and make you blind to other people's lights. And then you can work on those things both through brain healing and through a loving and honest self-assessment of where you might be putting up a barrier between where you are and where you want to be. So we all know what it's like when our cab light is off. We're not feeling open to something new coming into our lives. And sometimes we think we're open, but there's stuff going on that keeps that light dim. Like maybe we're not taking care of ourselves. Or maybe we're letting TV and spacing out just kind of take up all our free time. Or we're being way over busy. Or we're feeling stuck and not learning anything, but we're blaming everything outside of ourselves, our boss, our friends, the place we live, or our circumstances. Or, this is a big one, we're isolating. Adventures do not tend to happen for people who are avoiding interaction with life or with people, right? So in dating, there are a bunch of ways that you can turn your light off, or you can turn it back on. And a lot of these things take a bit of time. It's not like a switch that you can flip in most cases. In relationships, some things that keep your cab light off are, well, number one, being already in a relationship, especially that's not healthy or happy for you. Those of us with childhood PTSD are way more likely than most people to go for unavailable and inappropriate people and then stay there for a long time. And being in a bad relationship will dim your light pretty bad. You lose your sparkle, you lose your confidence. All your issues are on display for everyone to see. Not to mention, you're already in a relationship, and that, for most healthy people anyway, is a bit of an obstacle to dating. Not that this stops us from wishing someone would come along and sweep us away into a better relationship sometimes without us having to go through the pain of a breakup. Well, we can dream, right? But that almost is never how a great relationship starts. But even when you're not seeing someone, and even when you want with all your heart to meet someone new, it's possible to be emotionally unavailable. And healthy people have radar for this, and they're going to step back from that. So how can you tell if you're sending silent signals of emotional unavailability? This is where the loving and honest self-assessment comes in, to ask yourself if maybe there are barriers you're putting up that are keeping the good partners at bay. Now, obviously, addictions would fall into this category. If you're carrying a lot of anger, that's another. Having a lot of drama or conflict could be a barrier. Not that you can always control this, but often a pattern of drama and conflict could indicate you do have some unhealed wounds inside, and that would be a barrier that you're putting up. Another barrier is when your romantic energy is not contained and present within you, ready to be shared with another person. What do I mean by that? It's really common. It could be having a lingering quasi-relationship with an ex, or with someone you don't really want to have a real relationship with, maybe a friends with benefit situation. And it's easy to think that it's a small thing to do that, and if no one really knows about it, what's the big deal? It won't affect your ability to meet someone new, but you know what my experience is? It dims your cab light quite a lot. Healthy people who are looking for someone with their whole self intact inside them, who are capable of sharing their lives in a good way, healthy people like that are not likely to be interested in someone who has one foot in another relationship, even if that's a fantasy relationship, even if no one knows about it, they sense it. They're looking for a bright cab light, someone who is fully there, mostly healed, and not without all these past entanglements with people. Do you feel like you need a little tune-up in this department? You have come to the right place. In the description section below, you'll find a link to my online course, Dating and Relationships for People with Childhood PTSD. And in that, I talk about some common ways that abuse and neglect in childhood can affect us in relationships, the misguided attractions, the attachments that are problematic, and I teach ways to identify where you might be putting up barriers or hurting your chances, as well as ways to date in a more structured, positive, conscious way. People with a rough childhood can have great relationships. It just takes a little extra healing sometimes. So check it out, and if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and be sure to subscribe to this channel for more stories and healing strategies for transforming childhood trauma into a full and happy life today.